phone if you want me to, but I'm kind of a wild talker, so it's easier if I just speak up. I had a confession when I was in school. I hated history class, right? It was all about memorizing names of people and events, and then probably my senior year of high school, I read a historical fiction novel, and bing, the light bulb goes on, right? It changed my whole perception of history, my whole perspective of things. So historians write about dead people, okay? Historical fiction authors write to bring people back to life. They breathe new life into history by putting everything into context. If it's done right, it transports the reader to a different time and place and kind of puts them in the shoes of real people who lived during that time. So the character has to be a person in the story. Even if they're a secondary character, even if they only have a couple of scenes, you don't want that character to feel like they're just a prop that you put in order to move a story along for some reason. Now in my novel, Peculiar Savage Reading, one of the main characters is Woody, and he's a young man on the autism spectrum. The story is set in the 1930s, Dust Bowl, Great Depression. Interestingly, the very first person to be diagnosed with autism was Donald Triplett, and that was in 1933. He was actually the very first case written up in all the journals and all of that. But it would be arguably 16 plus or more years before autism spectrum disorder became widely known or understood. I would argue that is what people today we still don't understand. It's become more known, but people still don't really get what it means. It was going to focus on the two main characters were going to be R.J. Evans, the young woman, and her sort of romantic interest, Harvey. And I did a lot of research, read tons of books about the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl, and the environmental aspect of it is a big piece of the story of the Dust Bowl and the erosion of land. The drought that lasted 10 years, had my outline, and I was writing, putting these scenes together, and I got all the little quirky small town characters, and one of them kept popping up in my scenes more and more often, and his name was Woody, and he was funny, and he was quirky, and he was a young man who was very kind and honest, sometimes to a fault. And I kind of fell in love with him. And I'm halfway through writing the novel, and I realized this story, he's not just a secondary character, he's a main character. And it wasn't fitting with my original outline of what my story was supposed to be about. So I basically scrapped it, and I started rewriting from the beginning. And my story evolved. It became not about RJ and her romantic interest. It became about RJ, a woman fighting against, all sorts of different things, and it was Harvey, who was a farmer, who was also fighting against all different things, and Woody, who had all of his own issues, and how the three of them became friends from three completely different backgrounds, different beliefs about life, different perspectives on life. Memoirs are especially helpful in this because memoirs are written by people who either are in that community that you're interested in, whether they have autism or a mental illness of some sort, maybe they're bipolar or maybe they've got PTSD, but they're writing from their perspective. They're talking about their very personal feelings and their experiences, and so memoirs are awesome. They're also sometimes written by the parent of someone who is neurodivergent, or they're written by a sibling of someone who is neurodivergent, which this one was. And so memoirs, they kind of let you get into somebody else's head. And when you're there, then you can see through their eyes, and you can see what they're seeing. Interviews and podcasts are also a great way to work on your understanding of language, how people speak to one another. Dialogue in fiction is really tricky to write. A lot of times people will write it in order to try to insert facts about the story that they want you to know. But really what dialogue is a way of getting to know the characters better. What do they say? What don't they say? Those are all really important things that help bring life to your characters. Internal dialogue and external dialogue. And again, documentary is a great way because if you don't have the interview skills, the guy doing the documentary does, and he knows how to pull people out. And so you watch them and you watch their mannerisms and their expressions, and that's all part of it too, the body language. And I tried to hit on a lot of those aspects in my novel. Podcasts are great. I'm going to do another plug for Seeds here because Seeds has an awesome podcast. Sonia's been on it, my son Jake's been on it. It's really great, and it gives another perspective for each, because every person is different. Every person with autism is different. They have different dreams, they have different abilities, they have different things that they struggle with. Jake talked in a recent podcast about how tying his shoes was really hard for like all the way up into high school. And that's a tough thing, you know, and he shared that. He opened himself up, and so those kind of opportunities are rare. And if you can get somebody that's willing to open up about something like that, that's a gem that you can use in something that you're writing. It doesn't have to be about tying your shoes, it can be about anything, but it's just that feeling inside.